Your job is to give them facts that they can then focus on other than your GPA number, right? So let's say your GPA is 3.1. Well, that's what they're going to be looking at. And so the addendum is an opportunity for you to give them another number. They may not buy it, but if you stick to facts, then it's hard to argue with, right? So if you say, hey, well, my major GPA was 3.6. They may not care, but on some level, it gives them a different number in their head, right? They're like, oh, okay. They still have to submit the 3.1. So at the end of the day, these addendums are not going to make a huge difference, but you're giving, it's just a subtle way to make an argument to somebody who has to make a decision for you. They're sitting at their desk and you're like, yeah, but my major was this, or my last 2 years was this. And they're like, oh, like they're on the fence about you, right? This isn't for anyone where you're already out. If you're out, you're out. This is somebody who's on the fence and they're like, okay, should we admit Daniel? And they're like, well, I guess last 2 years was higher. Maybe Daniel is on the right track. Okay, cool. I'm going to go ahead and admit that. It's not going to be a game changer, but it might tip the scale for someone who's on the fence. And you have to give them facts. You don't want to start making excuses and argument. Oh, I was so busy. The facts would be something like, I realize my GPA is low, but that's in part because I was working 65 hours a week. Don't say, oh, I had 3 jobs and then, da-da-da-da-da. It's just like I was working a lot during college to support myself, period, 65 hours a week or whatever. And by the way, my last 2 years were this GPA, higher. I was like, okay, so it's just like facts, right? And they're like, oh, okay. But when you start like telling stories like, oh, it was so hard for me to adjust to freshman year, blah. Now you're bringing up facts that you don't want them to have in their mind. You just want facts that are useful. Oh, this person's a hard worker and they had a higher GPA at the end.